All right, let's jump right in. We're about to unpack two ancient Japanese principles that could totally change the way you think about leadership. We're talking about harmony and sincerity. But trust me, it's not what you think. So, let me ask you something right off the bat. Is keeping the peace in your workplace actually holding your team back? We're always told that a happy team is a quiet team, that avoiding conflict is the goal. But what if that idea is just, well, wrong? And that leads us straight to our first big idea, the harmony we misunderstand. It seems our whole modern idea of what it means to be respectful and create harmony at work is, frankly, missing the point. Okay, get this. Our modern idea of harmony, is all about avoiding fights, being polite even if it hides the truth, and ending with a simple agree to disagree. But the original concept, it's the total opposite. It's about debating openly to find the right answer. It's about having the humility to challenge each other's ideas. It's not about agreeing to disagree, it's about disagreeing to eventually agree on the best possible solution. It's a process, not a state of being. And listen, this isn't some newfangled management theory. This idea is ancient. We're talking 604 AD, when Prince Shotoku put this concept of wa into Japan's very first constitution. It's a 1,400-year-old leadership secret that kind of got lost over time, but man, is it needed today. So, how can disagreement possibly lead to respect? It feels like a contradiction, right? Well, that brings us to the next piece of the puzzle, respect through disagreement. Let's dig into that 1,400-year-old secret. Now, this is the quote that trips everybody up. Prince Shotoku says, harmony should be valued and quarrels avoided. At first glance, that sounds exactly like, don't argue, just be nice. But the magic word here, the one we all misunderstand, is quarrels. See, a quarrel isn't a healthy debate. A quarrel is a fight between egos. What Shotoku was really saying is that when we can check our egos at the door, we can actually debate things with humility. The goal isn't to win the argument. The goal is for everyone to collectively find the best path forward. It's not me versus you, it's us versus the problem. So, what does this actually look like day to day? Well, it's having the guts to have those slightly uncomfortable conversations. It's pointing out to a coworker that their tools are in an inefficient spot. It's giving your manager feedback that their lateness is affecting the team. It's challenging ideas based on their merit, not on who came up with them. And, just as important, it's being able to say, you know what, I was wrong. And this right here is the heart of it. Avoiding conflict, just for some short-term peace and quiet, is actually deeply disrespectful. Why? Because you're prioritizing your own comfort over the long-term growth and success of your team. True respect is caring enough to have the hard conversations. Okay, but for this kind of radical honesty to work, you need a very specific ingredient. You need trust. And how do you build that? Well, that brings us to the sincerity equation. This is the engine that makes the whole thing run. The concept is makoto. It translates to sincerity, truth, earnestness. Basically, a heart that's free of falsehood. It's considered a core virtue in Japanese culture. And for a leader, it's absolutely non-negotiable. What I love is that the character for Makoto itself gives us a simple two-step formula. The first part means to declare, to say what you're going to do, to voice your intentions out loud. The second part means to execute, to actually make your words become reality. Step 1, declare. Step 2, execute. It's that simple and that powerful. When leaders mess this up, they fall into two major traps that just obliterate trust. First, there's the empty promise, all talk, no action. They declare things but never execute. Then there's the secret agenda, all action, no talk. They do things without ever explaining why, leaving their team feeling confused, blindsided, and distrustful. And here's a critical point. Sincerity isn't about being superhuman. It is so much more sincere to say, hey, I need help to get this done, than it is to just go silent and fail on your own. Being transparent about your struggles is part of the equation. So let's put it all together now. This is where we learn to lead with true intent, weaving these two powerful ideas, harmony and sincerity, into a single, effective leadership model. This is how it all stacks up. It all starts with sincerity, that declare then execute formula. When you do that over and over, you build a solid foundation of trust. And it's only on top of that trust that you can achieve true harmony, where people feel safe enough to have those respectful, challenging debates. Sincerity literally builds the bridge of trust that leads to real harmony.
Which brings us to a whole new definition of a phrase we hear all the time: respect for people. It isn't just being polite, it's having the courage to do what is right for the long-term well-being of your team, even if it creates some conflict or discomfort for everyone right now.
So, if you remember one thing from this whole explainer, let it be this. True leadership boils down to having the sincerity to speak the truth, and then having the humility to let that truth be debated for the good of the entire group. And that leaves me with one final question for you to think about. What is the one uncomfortable truth that, if you discussed it with sincerity and respect, would truly move your team forward?